Committee of the Whole, and Pat for roll call.
Woodside.
Here.
Ross.
Here.
Garner.
Here.
O'Brien.
Present.
Balmas.
Present.
Thorstenson.
Here.
All present.
We normally do the pledge.
Yes.
Stand for the pledge, please.
Republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right, so welcome everybody, and we're going to start with item number 1, Lake County, Illinois Convention and Visitors Bureau, and the big 3, report on tourism, business developments, and upcoming season operations. So I have a fine list of people that are all planning on speaking tonight, is that right? Yes? All right, perfect. So I'll start with thank you very much for taking your time out to do this, and if you haven't got it, we just really appreciate our partnership with you guys. I can't think of a group of people that I wouldn't enjoy more to spend my time with and be proud of saying that you're part of the Village of Gurnee, and we support you in every way we can. So with that, we just look forward to your reports, and we'll go from there. Maureen, you're up first.
That's fine.
Yeah, that's fine. Good evening, everyone. I don't feel like I'm on. Am I on? You can hear it? We can hear it. Anyway.
We can hear you now.
You're good.
Okay, good, good. No, it's always a pleasure to be with you. You know, we do this annually, and it's a chance for us to give you an update and talk about all the, marketing highlights that we've had, and talk about the visitor economy, and have the big 3 present here. So we always enjoy coming here. So thank you for the opportunity again this year. So it's spring, so we're going to talk about some of the things happening this year and this spring, and then talk about the summer season as well. So let's see if we can advance the slides here. So that's kind of the lineup tonight. We'll hear from me, and then Six Flags, Gurnee Mills, and Great Wolf Lodge. So I'll start out, give you a quick overview, because I know you're all familiar with our organization, but just to reiterate again who's on our board of directors and how well represented Gurnee is on our board, with Randy and John both as officers, and then Cheryl is our past board chair, and then Carissa Casbon, who's from this area, is on the Lake County board, representing the board here and Gurnee area as well. And then we have Brianna from Great Wolf Lodge on our board too. And then our community partners, we've got the 14 communities plus the county are all what we call community investors in, and we were happy to welcome back Highland Park this past year. They were out during COVID and then came back. So you can see it's all the core communities around Lake County. And what we've been talking about lately is an opportunity to maybe look at some of the smaller communities that would like to be investors with Visit Lake County, and how we might fit them into the program, looking at kind of the tiers for investment and the structure and what benefit and services levels. So we have a task force from our board kind of looking at that right now. So more to come on that, but kind of an opportunity to maybe expand what we do to some of these smaller communities that are definitely interested in welcoming visitors to Lake County. So we will keep you apprised of that. So just a quick kind of overview then on kind of the high level of what we do. Obviously support the hospitality businesses and the workers here in Gurnee, and inspire, I always like to say, residents now as well as visitors to explore Gurnee and Lake County, and then boost the visitor economy and enhance the public image. I think that's really important to think about tourism and the marketing we do, and how that helps amplify the positive outlook and message about Gurnee. We're out there talking about Lake County and Gurnee, and just creating this really, I think, positive, upbeat image about your town too, which helps you from a perspective of maybe even business attraction, making residents feel good about this area as well. So tourism is part of enhancing the public image. So I'm going to talk a little bit about the new partnership that we're doing with Gurnee Mills right now, Enjoy Illinois. Illinois Office of Tourism, some of the visitor intelligence website and kind of digital marketing, seasonal campaigns, and then the group business recruitment. So I'm starting out with these beautiful pictures because I thought that would be a nice way to get us going here. So these are some of the new hallway posters, or what I guess Randy and Kelsey would call clings, wall clings at Gurnee Mills that are going up. So you'll start seeing these. They're in a couple of different hallways. They're going to be up in a couple of weeks. So they're at, I think, Bass Pro area, Starbucks, and there's another area too, right, Randy? Bass Pro, Starbucks, and...
By Lola's.
By where?
Lola's. The new
Okay,
restaurant we have coming.
there we go. Ooh. So you'll start seeing these around the hallways there, which is really nice representation of Lake County. They're gonna be big and beautiful images of Lake County. So I just chose a few. There are actually 15 different images that'll be up on the hallways. We also have a huge kind of floor-to-ceiling road map of Lake County that we'll be putting up. And then Randy will be showing you some pictures if you haven't been over to Gurnee Mills to see kind of the selfie walls. He's gonna show you a few pictures of those as well. So it's a really nice partnership with Gurnee Mills. We've been talking about this for a while, and it was nice to finally get this done. Oops, that went fast. Also, the partnership with Enjoy Illinois is so important, and I just want to mention this because I think sometimes we forget that the overriding agency is the Illinois Office of Tourism. So we're sort of under their umbrella, and they market and advertise the entire state, and then we can kind of take advantage of those opportunities. We are also responsible for providing listings on all of the attractions and events and businesses in Gurnee that are tourism related. We have to load all of that data into their website, enjoyillinois.com. So what I wanted to show you here is, this is their newsletter that just went out for spring break. And it was nice to see that Great Wolf Lodge was featured as kind of one of the top billing there for what to do during spring break. So this is their e-newsletter that goes out every month, and of course they feature a lot of our attractions here. They'll be featuring Six Flags, John, right? Coming up soon. But but it's nice that under road trips, you know, what can you do during spring break? Well, go to Great Wolf Lodge. And then we're also doing a co-op ad with Great Wolf Lodge, and this is in the Illinois Travel Guide. They publish this twice a year. They have a fall, winter, and then the spring, summer. So this is a co-op ad, so Great Wolf Lodge and Visit Lake County partnered on this ad, which will be featured then in the Illinois Travel Guide. So it's kind of, you know, splash into summer fun and a lot of water images about Lake County and Great Wolf Lodge. So I thought that was a really nice partnership as well. So I'm gonna show you, these aren't the easiest to see, but I wanted to show you some of these visitor insights. Well, we're working with a company that does business intelligence called Zarticle. So Zarticle specializes only in tourism destinations. So they work with Convention and Visitors Bureaus and State Tourism Office. They have about 230 clients across the country. So I know there's a lot of companies out here doing all this geotechnology. Basically, it's, you know, cell phone location data, that kind of information. But we've been getting more familiar with all of the information that's in the dashboard. So I pulled some data on just day trips and overnight trips to Gurnee in 2022, just so you could see, which I thought was a really interesting pie chart there. You can see kind of the overnight visitors in the day trips and see that, you know, that you're skewing overnight, which is great. That's exactly what we want. So over 58%, almost 59% last year. And I have to step back and tell you again that a visitor, in their criteria, a visitor has to be from over 30 miles away. So our audience could be closer than 30 miles, but what they're tracking is 30 miles. That's kind of the typical scenario across the country would be 30 miles. And if you think about our market, because we're in Chicago, and I'm sure Great Wolf Lodge and Six Flags and Gurnee Mills are all drawing people from within 30 miles as well. This data is tracking visitors that are from further out than that. This is the one that's really hard to read, I know. But I just wanted to include it because I think it's kind of interesting to see So this is the top origin visitor markets for Gurnee last year. Again, these are visitors, so they're over 30 miles away. But the top one was Chicago. I don't think any surprise, with Milwaukee coming in second. And then who's third there? I can't read that. Can you read that, Brian? What is that? Green Bay. Oh, yes, of course, Green Bay. And Green Bay spends pretty well too, but they probably are staying overnight. That's why their spend is higher. And then who's fourth in there? Rockford.
And Madison.
Okay. Yeah. So that gives you an idea of the origin. And then finally, this one is on average visitor spend. And this is pretty interesting. So this is credit card swiped in market. So a credit card, like at a hotel, it's going to be swiped in market. So Great Wolf Lodge. A credit card like Six Flags is probably not swiped in market because they booked in advance. They already got their passes, their tickets before. So the data gets a little funky from that. It's also tracking visitors that are 60 miles away rather than 30 because it's only tracking by zip code. But it's pretty interesting data to see. Again, Brian, you can read it for us. We got.
Sure, the top one is accommodations, and then outdoor recreation, and then attractions, and then transportation.
Yeah.
And finishes retail, food, and then business and professional.
Yeah, yeah. So accommodations is the highest. Attractions, I think, would be higher except for the fact that it's in market, John, so I'm pretty sure that would be the reason why. Outdoor recreation, I checked on that one because I thought, that's kind of interesting. This is Gurnee data, it's golf courses. Yeah, retail, I would expect to be pretty high here again, but again, think about this being 60 miles out too. So it's interesting to look at all this data and kind of look at it. What you should look at is kind of trends and benchmarking, and there's a lot of data. We've pulled a report for Ellen, which we can continue to do like on a quarterly basis and kind of look at the numbers for Gurnee too. So we're happy to share that with you. So then on to spring. So spring has sprung, right? Well, not in Wisconsin, but it may be down here, right? Since they got, what, a foot of snow in Wisconsin? But spring is obviously what we're promoting now in Lake County. So our website is our source of inspiration, a lot of great data shared. It's really a great travel resource for people, and looked back over the past 12 months and we had 113 events in Gurnee that were on our calendar events, which is our most popular section of our website. So people are going to our calendar events. Then we look at the digital marketing, which we have a very robust ongoing presence on digital marketing. And this, of course, is Facebook and Instagram and Twitter and LinkedIn and yes, TikTok. Right now, we kind of tiptoe into TikTok occasionally. But I thought, impressive number again, 546 digital posts for Gurnee events and businesses, and then we tag the village 217 times. And then we also write a couple of blogs a week, so 150 blogs also mention Gurnee businesses. Just wanted to give you an idea, just, we obviously the launch of launch, but a lot of other things that are happening in Gurnee as well. We try to promote some of the other partners beyond the big three. Obviously the opening at Cooper's Hawk there, extreme flight simulation, local restaurants, those kinds of things. Chance was back at Great Wolf Lodge again. Had to double check that. Jim. Yeah, wasn't that cool? He came back again because he was there for the opening. So that's really nice. Just a variety of different posts, Holiday in Gurnee too, posts there. We try to spotlight hotels around Lake County as well. So just to give you an idea, the pumpkin carving event, that was at Great Wolf Lodge there too. So just a lot of different posts with engagement. So then on to the seasonal marketing. As you know, we do a fall campaign called Spooks and Spirits, with spirits kind of having that double meaning with also promoting our libation trail partners. And just kind of gives you an idea of how we promote fall here. This is a really nice campaign. And when you look at the website page views, almost 229,000 there. I had to put up trick or treat hours because I'm always so amazed at how many people go to our website to find out what the trick or treat hours are around Lake County. So over 25,000 page views for trick-or-treat hours. So we've become the go-to source for that. And then events also had over 25,000. But yeah, people always are contacting us weeks in advance and saying, hey, you got all that information on trick-or-treat hours? So it's pretty interesting. Then the holiday campaign. Once again, we had the 4 villages co-op this, and thank you for participating again. We had Antioch, Gurnee, Libertyville, and Vernon Hills. And what we do is build out a landing page. So you'll see on the left then, kind of the Holiday Your Way campaign. And then within that, then the communities that are sponsors are highlighted, and we build out a page for you as well. So this was the Gurnee page there on your holiday attractions and shopping and events and cuisine accommodations. That kind of information is then on a landing page. It's primarily a digital campaign, although we did some print as well. You'll see that was a print ad on the right side there. And then you can see the different media that was used this year. We actually did some TV this year as well. It kind of morphed from being digital to a more extensive campaign in the past couple of years. And of course, the holiday train, super popular, can't beat that. One of the most popular posts is about the holiday train. Gives you some other pictures there. And then I went back and looked at the Gurnee holiday guide and how many page views you had on that specific holiday guide, a little over 23,000. But it had great social engagement, up 25% from last year, great reach, great link clicks. So there's a lot of interest in holiday events and what's happening all over the county. So it's a really nice time to promote, get people up here that are looking for things to do during the holidays. So it's a great campaign, so thanks for participating in that. Then on to Lake County Restaurant Week, coming up soon, April 14th to 23rd. These are a couple pictures from last year, but John McGuire, who's with us, everybody knows John, right? Is overseeing that for us, and should be a great campaign. We've got 60 plus restaurants. Still room for a few more, so we're hoping we get a few more here in Gurnee with work from Ellen and Jody. They've been helping us there, and it's a really nice program. It's just a chance for these restaurants to kind of get the word out in that in-between time period. It's after Easter, it's before summer, and get people moving around the county. It's really focused on local diners and getting them to think about other restaurants that they might not necessarily always patronize. So it's a great program, and hopefully we can have a great representation from a Gurnee area. But we're pleased that we have 60 over. We have no intention of growing it to be hundreds of restaurants. It's really focused on kind of unique restaurants and independent restaurants. So it's a good campaign. And then summer coming up soon. We're going to go use the theme, Let the Ride Take You again this year. It just really works well for us. It speaks to the fact that, our markets are really Milwaukee, Chicago area. So, jump in your car and come to Lake County. It's a great getaway. So we really promote that. You'll see one of the e-blasts we did last year with Midwest Living. What the media was last year, we'll anticipate doing something similar again this year with a lot of, outdoor boards, digital, some OTT and streaming and, radio, TV sort of thing. And we will be having the partnership with the Bears again for their Bears summer training camp. Enjoy Illinois, the Illinois Office of Tourism will be the naming sponsor again for Bears training camp. We're also one of the top sponsors for that as well. It's a good partnership for us. We know that, people come here and are looking for things to do when they come to Bears training camp. And, it's in the middle of the summer, later summer, July, August time period. So it's a great time to be promoting all the things that there are to do in Lake County while you come to Bears training camp. So it's been a good partnership for the past couple of years. And then the Visitor's Map Guide, working on that again this year. This is last year's. It's kind of amazing that people still like maps. You get them on your phone, but there's something good about still picking up that map and pulling it out and going, oh my gosh, look at Lake County. So it just gives you kind of a sense of all the things to do all over Lake County and the greenery and the lakes. And so it's been popular, so we are redoing that map. And then it's available at like the Lake Forest Oasis. We have a kiosk there. Wherever we can get it distributed throughout the hotels in the I-94 corridor up to Milwaukee and down to Chicago. We distribute it at the Illinois Welcome Centers. It's available there as well. So great representation of Lake County. And finally, you mentioned group business. So this is recruiting sports groups, meetings, conventions, reunions, even weddings and other special events. So we've got a team that goes out and recruits this kind of business. So, leisure market's been strong. We've seen that recover. Business travel, still kind of slow, not fully recovered yet. So I think until workers are back in their offices more, there's still a reluctance to travel as much as they used to. And so it's definitely impacted the numbers for business travel. The meetings and conventions market is starting to come back. So people still want to get together face to face and attend meetings and conventions. So we're seeing that happen. There's, I don't have to tell you about the workforce shortages. We've seen that. I'm sure you've seen it when you're going out. But it definitely impacts service levels and hours that restaurants are open, sorts of things. We had 46 referrals last year for group business to Gurnee. We've already secured 21 groups. I think what's interesting, what I wanted to mention, I put the state women's bowling tournament is going on right now, so you might see them around town. So they're coming for, it's a series of weekends, like 6 weekends this spring, and they're bowling at a bowling center in Waukegan, but they're staying at multiple hotels all over Gurnee, Waukegan area. So there are women bowling groups that'll be in Gurnee these next couple weekends. It's really nice business at a time of year when the hotels are a little bit slower. So it's been great to have them. We have an incentive program right now, thanks to Lake County. We received some money from the county for a couple of marketing campaigns, and then we're able to receive some money for what we're calling like a business incentive program. So we're working with groups and getting them to commit to Lake County and using this as an incentive to compete against other areas to get them to come to Lake County and book their business here. And then the incentive is actually rebated back to the hotels to offset some of the costs. So it's a really nice program. We had one group at Great Wolf Lodge that took advantage of that, and we've got one we're working with for Holiday in Gurnee. There will be more groups. We've got the program going for a couple of years now, but it's great to have this pool of money to just kind of hopefully tip a group over into coming here rather than another place if you can offer them some money. Some extra, just a little extra incentive. So it's been helpful because group business has been kind of, it's been slower to come back. So this is a really good way that we can support our hotels and then our restaurants as well, and hopefully retail and everyone else that's impacted by the tourism economy. So with that then, there's our last photo. So that's our staff photo that was taken during the holiday season at Great Wolf Lodge. Let it snow, it says. Not anymore, right? We're done with that. But we are very grateful to you for your ongoing support through all these years. We've had a really close partnership with the big three here and a lot of other tourism businesses in Gurnee. So, your investment allows us to do the work we do. And at the same time, we're helping lift your economy here in Gurnee as well. And as I said, impact even, the residents too, visitors, residents, businesses all kind of tied together. So it's been a really great program, and, we're just really grateful for your support through the years. So thank you so much.
Thanks, Maureen. Any questions from the board for Maureen? Comments? Trustee Thorstensen?
One small one. You said after the clings, but before the,
Selfie wall?
Selfie wall.
Yeah.
There was a map wall?
So we have three things. We've got the wall clings, the 15 of those in the hallways. We've got a floor-to-ceiling map. Where's that going up, Randy? Do you remember which? Yeah, so we have a floor-to-ceiling road map of Lake County, by the selfies. And then, that isn't up yet. And then Randy will show you pictures of the selfie wall as well. So we have 3 different projects with Gurnee Mills. So it'll be great to have all of that up there. So I think, so you said the map is right by the selfie walls? It's going up near there, next year. Yeah, so those should be going up in the next, early April, I think it was. So, thank you.
Any other questions or comments?
So
Thank you,
I'm
Maureen.
going to turn it over to John. You're up.
Welcome, John.
Yeah.
You're not open yet, so you seem calm and all cool and collected.
Yeah, check back in a couple weeks, maybe. So thank you for your time. Thanks, Maureen. Yeah, little quick look back while we still have the opportunity before we get into operating for this year. 2022, last year was one of the more interesting years in my 29 at the park. Making a run at 30 years. This will be my 30th season coming up here. Last year was really interesting, in a word. The attraction in 2022, our marketable capital, if you will, we redid Yankee Harbor, turned it into the DC universe, and it was fascinating to see it come together. That was, Yankee Harbor was an original section of the park, and it had that sort of, that northeastern sea town feel to it, a little more darker. We put Joker in there in 2017, and that had that real bright, vibrant color to it. So I don't know if this brightened it up around Joker. Joker added the color. This matched it. However you want to play that, but it really did the trick. This was it was fascinating to see it come together. I was really proud to see it. The repurposing of some original park rides, that portal. I'll stack that up against Disney, the DC Universe portal on the one end of it, coming through the Mardi Gras section. It's so bright. I wanted some darker evenings to operate into the night, because when that was lit up, it was so impressive to see the heroes on the one side, the villains on the other. The repurposing of the swing ride. I like preserving history where we can, but that just made that swing ride, replacing the pastels with those dark panels and those DC villains. It looked so sharp, and just watching the people gravitate to that, and the kids and the families, it was really impressive to just see new life interjected into that ride, that whole section. The Flash, the ride needed paint, vertical velocity, so it just looked so vibrant and sharp. The whole area did. New Batmobile in that, new signage in the area. I just was really enjoyed seeing that continue to develop through the spring, and just watching the guests come through there. It was really impressive to see. We took a building, an old building that we hadn't used for about 3 years, the old photo building in there, just bulldozed it, removed it, and it just opened up the whole area, just made it just fun to see, and great to see the guests engage with it again. And a theme that you'll see through last year and into this year, actually, just elevating the guest experience. It was the digital wait time boards, the single rider lines, part of that through the DC universe, but just about the guest service in general. Part of my initiative when I moved into the position of park president was challenging the team to clean up the park again, to deliver friendly service, to just make the interactions with the guests that much better. And things we were able to do with some technology to make the experience better. But what I wanted our team to do was to make the guest experience and the interactions with the guests that much better. And happy to, I did some double checking, because we did some training with the team this last weekend. And I had a couple of questions about our GSS scores, which is guest satisfaction scores, and how we landed at the end of last year. I was speaking fairly confidently, and did some checking then this morning following last weekend, and talking to the team, and before this meeting, and we were up across the board in GSS scores. Every single measure in our guest satisfaction scores was up in 2022 compared to 2021. So that it was our guests telling us we did good. So this is not measuring ourselves, not like how did we do. This is our guests' feedback to us and how we did. That was overall guest satisfaction, value for the money, ride safety, we led the company in ride safety, ride experience, employee service, friendliness, employee appearance, we led the company, the feeling safe and secure, we led the company. Food and dining experience, we were up, and there's about 8 other categories, but we were up across the board compared to 2021. So I'm nothing more satisfying than to be able to say that as leading the park and leading the team, but that's our team. So being able to challenge the team and to come up with that was awfully impressive to see. So if you recall this conversation last year, we talked about adding benches, adding some shade structure, added all new tables in our food court. So a lot of things to do, just things that aren't necessarily marketable, stuff you're not going to see in a commercial, but little things that happen throughout the park to help the guests have a better experience at the park. The food offerings, that was a lot of what went on. It's not just riding rides, it's what's happening at the park when you're coming for a visit. So those were happening all throughout. So many restaurants at the food court, the restaurants, but also the little snack shops. A number of them you see there. We added some new restaurants at the park, but just within the existing restaurants, changing up the funnel cakes. I don't know, we can keep adding funnel cake stands and they just keep purchasing them. It feels like there's no end in sight. I don't know what it is, but that's it. That's part of your visit, so we'll keep going. They did something really neat that our food and beverage director, he's in charge of all the in-park revenue. He challenged the funnel cake teams to develop different offerings, limited LTOs, limited time offerings of funnel cakes. So they would create new flavors, new types of funnel cakes, and then they'd try them out. And whichever ones did the best, they'd keep going. So it got the teams engaged. They would upsell them a little bit more, and then he had little contests, and they'd do little rewards. It just was neat, and to keep the team members going, and it just was great to see that experience all during the summer, and they were unbelievable. I tried a few myself. But in general, just seeing those scores as elevated as they were, hearing the feedback from the guests, a snapshot of 2022, the attendance was down last year. If you're following along, excuse me, it was a bit of the design of our current administration. We raised prices. When we came out of the pandemic, that administration, they chose to kind of get somewhat aggressive and lower the prices. And the parks were somewhat crowded in 21. People wanted to get out. They wanted to come out and do anything. And that's what happened in 21. And in 22, change in administration, his approach was to elevate the guest experience and raise prices. And as a result of that, it was a reversal of what we did the year prior, and that's a little jarring. And what happens in business then is there's less people buying, and so our attendance was down. But the in-park spending was up sharply. Our operating expenses were down sharply. There was a lot of aggressive cuts that took place. And as a result of all that balance, our bottom line was up. So, and by that, all that logic, all that worked at our park. So it was a good year overall in 2022. So you can't argue with some of those results. It worked here in Gurnee. So 2022, in a brief summary. 2023, moving forward, relying a lot on festivals this year. And we're gonna do a little bit more of that, continuing to elevate the guest experience. But that's a lot of what you're gonna see as you're coming to the park this year. So a number of new festivals that we're looking at. And as the calendar, I've been working real hard to get the calendar kind of lined up. And this administration they're a lot of fun. Because I keep trying to put a stake in the ground and kind of get this thing nailed down, and they keep kind of mixing things up a little bit. So we're trying to get it all squared away, And this is what it looks like on March 27th, and you can check back with me probably by Wednesday, maybe Friday, maybe next Wednesday, and we'll see what it looks like. But right now, this is where we're at, and, but no matter what, it's gonna be a really robust summer. And what I like when we can do these things is when there's something unique happening at the park. We have 17 roller coasters, we've got a lot of fun rides, we've got good shows, there's so much to do at the park. What I really enjoy is when there's those unique offerings. When you come into the park and there's something special happening. When you walk through the front gate and you can see it, and you can feel that there's a different energy at the park, when you know that there's something special happening there. I get a special enjoyment from that personally, and I think you can sense it and you just feel it with the team members. And that's what this 2023 is gonna be about. That through the spring, we do a lot of our school business and a lot of special events and some grad nights and a lot of that. Right away in the first week of June, we're gonna do a Pride celebration. Immediately after that, the next weekend, Flavors of the World, we're gonna do some food and beverage festival. And that's gonna be concurrent weekends. We're kind of stretched that from the weekdays leading into those weekends, and that's gonna be the next 3 weekends in June. Immediately after that, a more traditional July 4th weekend for a few days with some fireworks, following in with that's a tongue twister, blues, brews, and barbecue. So some food, it sort of lends itself to that Americana, patriotic type of a long run concurrently with the July 4th weekend. After that, it's gonna be kind of a summer party after dark. I kind of liken it to what is that traditional experience at Great America? Kind of up late with the family, parade, probably looking at some additional fireworks, sort of that energy in Hometown Square, some music, some dancers, some shows, just a lot of that best of what made that trip as a kid to Great America in the middle of summer. That's what I'm looking at for that run through the middle of July. That's kind of the heart of the summer there. After that, we're bringing back a festival we used to do, I think the last time we looked up was 2013, Hispanic Festival. That was great. We partnered with Univision, and we've engaged with them again for a 2-weekend run. Viva la Fiesta, calling it this year. They're really excited to come back with us again. Looking to book some talent for that, have it be a little bit music-driven, and that will run us through the middle of August. So from the start of June through the middle of August, it's really the extent of our daily operation. I'm gonna have something running different every single weekend. So it's really, we've done these types of festival summers, and nothing that's been this robust that I can ever recall. So I'm really excited for what we're looking at for the summer for 2023. Parade. I can't tell you how often we can stand at the front gate or in Hometown Square and have guests ask, what time's the parade running? We've run it a lot. Some years we're off. We haven't run the parade nightly for a long time. We're looking to bring a parade back this year. So I wish I could go back in 2019 and say, when are you running the parade? And I could say 2023. So I could have an answer for them. But we're gonna have a parade running again this year. So I can bring that back to the guests and families. Some returning festivals. The July 4th fireworks, always popular. Fright Fest, the most popular, for sure. Last year, we introduced Kids Boo Fest. We typically define Fright Fest as thrills by day, fright by night. So we do that sort of day-night split between the families and the teens. Defining that a little bit more clearly, we brought more family product on for the daytime portion of Fright Fest, and it was very well received last year. So it was in kind of 3 sections of the park that have a little bit more of the family rides. And we had some story time, and we had some characters, and we had some of that family-friendly decor, and it was great. We had some kids' dance parties, so some additional entertainment, and it was great to see. So came together kind of quick, so I think a little bit more of a dedicated and robust build-out of Boo Fest and Oktoberfest. So I've seen some of these festivals over the years, and it can be a little additive. It can be something that's happening in the park. It may slide some of the guest activity from something else that's happening to an area that you're saying, well, we're gonna cook here and we'll have maybe a beer trailer set up. This was something to watch. It was the best of any of the Oktoberfests in all of Six Flags. We just tipped it beyond any of the other parks. It was on our Moose Burger patio. It's a very natural space for Oktoberfest. And we watched it grow every single weekend. From the first weekend we rolled it out there, we said, oh, we got something here, and it just continued to grow from there. So I don't know if it's that very natural that this is the Midwest, this is Illinois, this is coming from Wisconsin. We have these beer gardens that are out there, but they were professionals, something, I don't know what you want to call it, but they latched onto it and they didn't let go. Every weekend in Fright Fest, as the attendance grew, the per caps continued to grow for our Oktoberfest, meaning the more people were there, the average spend continued to grow. And I was amazed to watch that parallel continue to run. So even so much so that we're investing in that patio, that we're gonna expand that patio, we're gonna remodel Moose Burger to an extent, and we're gonna try and capitalize on that. That we're gonna have some of these other festivals that I mentioned, have some focus on the Moose Burger patio, and then ultimately still capitalize and make Oktoberfest even bigger next year because it was as strong as it was. So that short run for those handful of weekends is warranting a six-figure investment in that small patio, and we're gonna keep running at it. So really impressive stuff to see. So I think, and a little bit more of the guest experience. So we've got, there's a bar that's next to Big Lou's that we're gonna expand out in Orleans Place. The beer garden at Moose Burger I just mentioned, you can tell I'm a little excited about that. Another beer garden across the park in Southwest Territory in that Mission area. Small space in there, but it had a natural area. There's storage right behind it. We can drop a cooler in there and real easy build out for another beer garden in Southwest. Trudy's up front in Hometown Square, that's getting a redo. It's called Coaster Candy. It's a concept that's worked at some of our sister parks. All new food concepts, a bunch of them listed right there that you can see. We got a couple of outside vendors coming into the park. We had the Dole Whip product. I'm sorry, I think Disney owns Dole Whip. Dole Soft Serve, so, sorry, anyone's paying attention from down in Orlando. But the Dole product was extremely well received, so we're expanding to a second location for that and adding some new flavors. Bubble tea, they are pouncing on that craze. And we're gonna have our own setup, not an outside vendor. We sent all of our food and beverage supervisors out for some training. We've got our own machines coming in, and we're putting in a vacated spot in Hometown Square, right up at the front of the park. I think it's just a great match. The audience, the demographic, the kind of grab and go as you're coming into the park. So I'm really excited for that one too. I think sometimes we get in on a little bit of the maybe tail end of some of these items as they're coming online, but this one I think we're catching on the way up. So I think it's great timing, and it's a really good match for the audience and the park. So some of the new stuff coming in for this year for guest experience. And I wanted to add in that the support, again, continue to be impressed after all these years with what Maureen does with her team. Just really driving the tourism, capitalizing on the in-state audience, bringing them to Gurnee, bringing them to the county, really setting the tone in the state, how she and her team are recognized in the state for setting the standards for what they do as a bureau. Sometimes recognized nationally as well. It's remarkable. What she's doing for us in particular, directionally as an organization, as a company, we've reduced some of our media spend last year and this year. So we're leaning on Visit Lake County for that additional exposure. So the support from the village for those efforts as as critical as it has ever been for us last year and this year. So again, very much appreciated. Full endorsement for everything that they've got going there and support of our efforts. So thank you for your time and for your support. Much appreciated.
Thank you, John. Any questions from the board?
I'll just ask, I know you're working under a handicap, but is there any chance that the winter holiday will be back, or the lights or anything?
We're in conversation with one group right now. They set up an event in the parking lot at St. Louis. What St. Louis did that I love the idea is that they had a third party in the parking lot that did a drive-through event. Then the park opened up their front gate section of their park on the weekends. And then the guests that drove through could then park and go into the front and do some shopping, buy some hot chocolate, get a funnel cake, do a little bit of that. So some food and beverage opportunities, some retail opportunities, and they lit up just the front section. They didn't have to invest anything in media. It was the third party that did that. It kind of brought people to the park. And so it was a natural win for them. They got a sponsorship fee from the third party just to be there. So it was an automatic plus up from a revenue standpoint. Whatever they made then on retail and food and beverage was just kind of icing on the cake. So they learned a lot from that, from a P&L standpoint, from managing their labor and how to make that all work with just that small setup. So we had an initial conversation with that same group. There was a little bit of hesitancy to move up. They're from Arizona, so they've only operated in the warm weather areas. So we had trying to get them to not stress too much about getting into a cold weather climate, and we're making progress. So I'm cautiously optimistic that we might be able to get them to move north a little bit, especially now that there's a friendly face working with St. Louis. So might be able to get them to convince them to come up north a little bit. So yeah, and I think it would be, their numbers are impressive, what they've done. So I think they were a little underwhelmed with what they saw in St. Louis, but they recognized the potential in this market versus what they have down there. So it's one avenue to explore.
Wish you good luck with it.
Appreciate it. Yeah.
Any other questions? No? Thank you, John. Appreciate it.
Yep. My
Randy,
good friend, Randy Abertowski.
Yes.
Thank you, sir. Just let me say, it's never easy following the funnel cakes, and now you're adding cheese curds. So there we are, Gurnee Mills. So first thing I want to start kind of high level in the industry. One of the things we learned when we came out of COVID is people wanted to get out and they wanted to shop. And it's about shopping and in person, right? In real life with family and friends. Wanting to connect in real life. It's one of the things you don't necessarily get so much when you're purchasing things online, right? Online has had its challenge with supply chain issues, whereas you're obviously guaranteed to have that product if you're in a store and it's right there in front of you. And brick and mortar is driving awareness for new brands, and what some online stores are finding, if they only have an online presence, is they're opening brick and mortar, which is exciting. The industry is consolidating, the shopping center industry, but better positioned centers are thriving. And obviously Gurnee Mills can't beat our location where we are on right along 94. And of course, Simon Property generally has the best shopping centers, and demand is very high in those shopping centers. So very exciting. Next, sales and traffic. Ellen, the three-word thing that we were trying to talk about the other day, fashion, outlet, and discount. Those are the three, and I had to think about it. And I also want to add to that entertainment and dining, because obviously that's something that we have at Gurnee Mills. So we are Simon Properties, Gurnee Mills, we are at the middle in the center of, and we're a gathering place for our community. We provide over 4,300 jobs to our community. We pay $4.7 million in property taxes, and I read an article that we're number 2 in the county. And online does not support to the degree that we do right here in our community. Simon had record sales for 2022 and surpassing both pre and post-COVID numbers. So that's a very general number. I'm not able to get into details, but I will say we've been very, very pleased with the numbers we've seen coming out of COVID. Very strong numbers. And as Representative Gardner mentioned, the mall's been very busy on the weekends. So it's hard to walk around without seeing somebody with some shopping bags. Our traffic continues to grow, even from last year. And one thing I mentioned, we benefit from our location right along the interstate, and between Milwaukee, Chicago, and of course with the great neighbors we have at Six Flags and Great Wolf Lodge. Some of the capital projects, and the reason I want to touch on this is just to show the reinvestment that Simon continues to do to Gurnee Mills. Some of these aesthetic upgrades, like our play area carpet that we replaced. I'm always going to call it Sears Tower. So I was in Chicago this weekend and I told my son that's the Sears Tower. And a lot of aesthetics, and also some like our central plant and our cooling tower. Efficiency upgrades. Also benefit from reduced electricity, reduced water usage, so we're also a greener product at the end of the day. Just a couple of photos. One thing I learned with custom carpet in a play area, you can't patch it. So you can see my patch job. They won't let me do that again. Light pole painting, such a simple thing. 15 years have been driving by these light poles, and we should really paint those. And what a huge difference that made. Simple thing, but big difference. The flock safety system, I know you've been extremely involved in it, and I can't say enough about it. The police have been able to help solve the dozens of crimes with this flock system. Just tremendous. And Simon is now looking to add this flock system throughout a number of malls in the portfolio. So we're one of the leading edge centers because we worked with the Village of Gurnee in order to implement it. So thank you again for that. So this is IREM, Institute of Real Estate Management, and this is something that we're very proud of. We became IREM certified last year, 2022, and this was a lot of work and a lot of paperwork to show not only things that we are already doing that are green and environmentally friendly, but also some of the things that we're going to commit to doing in the future. So just a really high-level list of some of the things that we're doing. And again, we were able to become IREM certified, and not a lot of centers are in the country. Also, for the last couple of years, we've been well health safety related. You might have seen some of the commercials on TV with celebrities talking about health safety rated 2022. So again, that'll be into this year as well. So new retailers, just a handful of the ones that opened last year. And this is the list of the ones that we can already release for this year in 2023. And one of the things that we're very, very proud of is we have very few vacancies. If you walk our mall, you can count on just a couple of hands how many vacancies we have. And I'll tell you, there is a ton of leasing activity. And not only Simon been seeing this, but Gurnee Mills as well. The leasing activity is the most I've seen in a long time, and it's very exciting. because retail is fashion, and fashion always changes, and you always want something new, interesting, exciting. And again, this 2023 list is going to be a lot more by the end of the year. So very exciting stuff. Some of our events and schedule, and I'm not going to go through every one because it's a lot, but I will say our dance card is very busy. We're not full yet, but our dance card is very busy. And these are some of the selfie stations that Maureen was talking about. And so right in the middle of the mall, next to Starbucks, very busy place. So people can stop here, like the snow angel on the left, stand in front of it. It looks like take a picture, it looks like you're making the snow angel, etc. So very cool. We see a lot of our customers taking the opportunity to use the selfie wall. So, and that's it. So I want to also, as John did, just talk a little bit about Visit Lake County and Maureen and John and the team. Just tremendous, the asset that we have here, right here, and not only in Lake County, but in our backyard. Maureen is really the go-to for business and civic leadership. I mean, she knows everybody, and it's a tremendous asset for us. And I know Gurnee Mills, Six Flags, Great Wolf Lodge, we're here, the three of us are here because of her and to support Visit Lake County. So thank you.
Thanks, Randy. Any questions from the board for Randy? Trustee O'Brien?
You know that I walk through your mall often.
Yes, sir.
I love it. I love that it's always full. There's always something new going on there. And I continue to say, if there's one mall that thrives, I'm so happy that it's yours.
Thank you. It's because of the partnership and all the help that we have
Ours.
with the village.
Say ours.
I'd like to amend that to say ours.
We have some ownership.
Absolutely.
Anybody else have any questions for Randy? Where's Cinnabon going? Is it going back to where it was?
Cinnabon is going back to its original location. They have a new owner, and so I think they're drawing.
My own, just asking for a friend.
And the coffee in the morning is excellent coffee there. So
Thanks. All right, Jim.
Okay, my name is Jim Franz. I'm the Director of Human Resources at Great Wolf Lodge. Just to get a little bit of background, I've been a resident of Gurnee for 28 years, resident of Lake County 42. I've worked with Great Wolf for 12 years now. We are just going on our 5th year here in Gurnee. So I worked for a number of years in our Madison office, and then I helped transition. Our main corporate office is now in Chicago. So I helped open, well, first of all, I came out as the corporate team to shut down the operation when we bought that property, and then in 2018 started building it up. Can't say enough of Ellen helping us out when we first started. If it wouldn't have been for her, I don't know how we would have got staff, because we spent plenty of weeks in the community room interviewing, hiring people. And it was interesting, even when I started working, I'd go to my doctor, my dentist, and people go like, well, what are you doing now? And I go like, well, I work at Great Wolf Lodge. Oh, you're still up in Madison. I go, no, I work at Great Wolf Lodge. They would say, oh, you go to Wisconsin Dells every day? And I go like, no, we have a Great Wolf Lodge here in Gurnee. My doctor is in Gurnee, my dentist is in Gurnee, and luckily Visit Lake County helped us over these past 5 years educate the public that there's a Great Wolf Lodge right here in Lake County. Because the awareness in the Chicago market, everyone went 3 hours to go to Great Wolf. And fortunately for us as a company too, we started doing more national advertising as the company grew, and we continue to grow also. If you see the map, pretty much we're throughout the United States right now, and we continue to grow. In fact, this year we're opening our 20th property outside Baltimore. It's gonna be our largest resort. It's a 700-room resort, and we're continuing to grow. In 2024 alone, we're adding a location down in Naples, Florida. We're opening up just outside Houston, and we're also opening up in Connecticut. And the brand overall is going to continue to grow. We have a property being developed in the UK. We have a third property we're looking at in California. We have one right now in Niagara Falls, Canada, and we're looking at a couple more properties in Canada. So the properties are strong, we're growing, so it's a really prominent brand that will continue to grow also. So just when I started, I helped open a number of the properties around the country, and the family atmosphere is what keeps growing this business. So right now, our marketing has said that 1 in 15 Americans have been to a Great Wolf Lodge, because we're pretty much spread out through the United States. We're very family focused. We were originally built by a family in Wisconsin Dells. The first Great Wolf Lodge started there 26 years ago. It was started by the family that used to own Noah's Ark. Prior to 1997, Wisconsin Dells pretty much was closed in the winter months. That was the first indoor water park, and now if you go to the Dells, that's all that you find in Wisconsin Dells. It was all because of that Great Wolf brand, and it continued to grow. And again, the way we continue to grow is the focus on family. A lot of our competitors in the indoor water park business will try to draw in anything, you know, the wild water slides, things like that. We do have some great water slides, but our focus continues to be on family for the indoor water park business. So what we offer is an escape for the family, and that's what we see a lot. And that's why you see our business continuing to grow. From the pandemic on, even during the pandemic, once we were able to reopen, we had capped occupancy, but we were usually always at those capped occupancy levels. 2022 was an extremely strong year. 2023 continues that way also. We have a promotion right now, a spring breakout, promoting spring breaks. Pretty much our spring break and our occupancy has been strong since the beginning of February. Our spring breaks will continue through the end of April because we draw from so many different demographic areas. You had some school districts start in February with their spring breaks. We have some that continue with traditional spring breaks where they continue around the Easter holiday. So you see those holidays and spring breaks pretty much spread out. Right now, you know, like basically during February until now, and we'll continue through May, we've been at like 90 to 99% occupancy. So very strong. And you see families staying more days also. When we first opened in 2018, we were a lot of one-night stays. You're seeing families extending those stays to multiple stays. No matter what Great Wolf Lodge you go to, weekends are always a busy time of the year, no matter what weekend you go. And at times we've had peaks and valleys where we have September, when the kids go back to school, you start seeing the weekdays, it levels off. But again, partnering with like Visit Lake County, we're starting to get more of the business groups in during those Monday through Friday times, so that at least in September, October, when we're weaker on the weekdays, we're bringing in more of the business. And then on the weekends, no matter what, you always have the families coming in. And then once you get to October, we start our Halloween promotion called Halloween. So you see strong families. You know, sometimes I always wonder where all these kids are because they're in Great Wolf Lodge, and I'm going like, shouldn't they be in school? But parents find ways to have their kids come out for a day or two, so, but they make it out. We even done some promotions where we've done things with homeschool groups, and we've actually give them space that they can do some of their homeschooling during the day, and then they can do the activities in the water park. So we do a number of different things with them to make everything fit. And especially after the pandemic with a lot of online schooling too, a lot of people were still able to maintain that. If they're out for a day, they can do their classes online and then make up for it that way. So, and again, it's that family atmosphere. They can go back to their room. They can do that when they're done, and they can head back to the water park. But pretty much all of our lodges are focused on that family togetherness. We have a number of different events, activities in every lodge. We have the water park, we have dry activities, we have our own characters. In fact, last year we launched a actual like hour-long cartoon that was, or is still on YouTube. We did a big premiere in New York City in one of the main parks there. And we continue growing the brand with our characters also. And we continue to do the promotions of our different events during the year. Like I said, right now we have the spring breakout. We'll transition from there to our summer camp-in activity. It's a summer-long program with a variety of different activities. Then we head back into the Halloween. And then during the November-December period, we have our Snowland activity. We've only been open 5 years, but I've seen a number of changes already in our lodge, continuing to evolve and grow to make sure that we stay fresh. The one thing that's really nice that we're only 45 minutes from Chicago, our corporate office, so we get to be a prototype for a lot of things that happen in the company. Our main gift shop is called Buckhorn, and we had the big redo for that gift shop with fixturing, merchandising, everything like that. And people came out, made tweaks, things like that. Once they got it level, it became the prototype for all of the lodges within the system. We did the same thing with our arcade. We used to have a traditional counter where you walked up and redeemed the prizes from the arcade. And we were the first prototype facility where you actually go into a little shop and you can go do your shopping and find the items that you want to redeem your coupons for, your tickets from the different arcade games for the different prizes that you want, versus having to stay in a queue line and wait behind a glass counter to pick up those items. We even did a thing recently. We have a Dunkin' Donuts in our lodge. And for the most part, we find that people get donuts coffee from 6:30 in the morning till about noon. You occasionally have people who want it other hours, but to keep an entire Dunkin' Donuts staffed and operating is a lot of labor for not a lot of revenue coming in. So we took one of our quick service locations and we added a Dunkin' Donut Express to it. So it's like a convenience store where you can buy individual sandwiches, individual drinks, and then we added a little counter where you can get Dunkin' Donut coffee. We have donuts that we have in there also. So now you can get donuts once Dunkin' Donut closes up until like 11 o'clock at night. We have a number of other locations that we're going to be continuing to look at that. When we first opened, we found out they weren't strong revenue producing areas, and we're slowly looking at different products that we can pull in and grow those a little bit more too. So that's one thing that's really exciting about my experience working with Great Wolf, that we continue to change and evolve. We're not just static to say this is the way we operate. We're always looking at ways to improve and responding to what our guests really want in that lodge experience. So again, we offer that immersive experience where pretty much we are a true staycation. Guests can check in. They never have to leave our lodge until they check out. They have everything that they want there. They have the water park experience, they have their room, they can have breakfast, lunch, dinner there, they can go shopping. But the great thing too, it's families. So in my experience over these 5 years, you see the families come and the one parent doesn't want to go shopping, so they go to the water park with some of the kids. The other parent over the holidays goes over shopping at Gurnee Mills. Same thing for the summer. You have the one parent with the kids who just want to go in the water park and have fun. The other parent takes the older kids over to Six Flags, and they have the best of both worlds between those locations. And then again, we continue to look at making those connections with families. We've done a national advertising. Hopefully you've all seen our commercials with the giant wolves running with the families. We've invested a lot on national advertising to promote it. That way we can connect them with the local theme to say, hey, that Great Wolf brand is right in your backyard. And luckily with like Visit Lake County, we get that message that people in this area. Because we were finding that a lot. We would go into a lot of counties around the Chicago area, and they go, yeah, I've been up to the Dells before. We go like, no, there's one right here in Lake County. And so there was a real awareness that had to be grown and continues to grow. Our mantra is bring joy to families. Every experience we have with our PAC, and again, instead of employees, we call people PAC members. They do whatever it takes to make a special memory for those families. Currently, we have 550 PAC members at our lodge. We'll peak at about 650 during the summer months because we do add a little bit more. We have an outdoor pool area. We have a couple other attractions that we add for the summer months. So we do end up peaking a little bit higher during the summer. But year-round, we always maintain that 550 base at least for our PAC members. The campaign this year was called Strengthen the PAC. So obviously we have our PAC members, and the PAC has also looked at the families also, trying to strengthen those bonds between all the family members, looking for a place that everyone can come together and truly have that family-friendly, wholesome kind of experience for a getaway. And we do find that increasing, more and more. Like I said, strong occupancy through May. We'll have a little bit of lull on a couple of the weekdays in May, but then Memorial Day to Labor Day, pretty much will be sold out every day again like we were last summer. So very strong growth in our business.
Thanks, Jim. I really appreciate it. Is there any questions from the board?
I have a question.
Mr. Garner.
My question is for all of you guys. First of all, I'm proud of all the hard work you've done and the success that that Gurnee is receiving as a result of that work. But as trustee, I'm asked two questions. And, I'm really caught off guard sometimes in terms of how to answer the question. The first is crime in Gurnee at all the entertainment and shopping areas. How is that being addressed? Because when they find out I'm a trustee, they go, I start telling them great community, great things we're doing and everything. And the next question is always, or it seems to always be, what about crime in Gurnee Mills? What about crime at Six Flags? And, all I can tell them is we're doing really well, guys. It's a great place to come to, but it'd be, I know we're getting the license plate readers, great move, but, and then two, the second part of my question is the casino in Waukegan. How is that gonna impact you guys? And has it done so already? Is it positive, is it negative? What do you see in the coming future where that's concerned as well?
As long as I'm at the mic right now, I can say it. Again, being in Gurnee so long, one thing I've really been proud of Gurnee all the while is our strong infrastructure that we do have. Amazing police force, fire department. I have a brother who was a fire chief his whole career in the city of Oshkosh. And he was amazed last week when he drove by and I told him that right across from my neighborhood was the 3rd fire station in Gurnee. He goes like, really? He goes, I had a city 3 times this size and you know how much I had to fight to get a 3rd fire station? So it's really great to know that, first of all, the village is there to take care of what's here. The police department, I can't say enough. We introduced the flock system also. It's great. And the one thing that I've always said is whenever you get large groups of people together, you're always going to have some bad players there. But fortunately, we have the infrastructure that addresses those situations and takes care of it to make sure it doesn't get worse than what it is. There could be situations, you go in some communities, you don't have that support, so you can see things turn bad. But as both a Gurnee resident and as a business person who's been here, I can't say enough about, like the systems that are in place in this village to take care of things. And, they do get addressed. And I know the relationships even we have with the Gurnee Police Department, the fire department are really strong. Because again, people are gonna be people. Even the most common person you think can get out of hand at times. And fortunately, they address it the right way too, to make sure it's taken care of. There's some situations I've seen over my time that it's amazing how those professionals address it and take care of it. So, you know, we can really be proud of that, I think.
The one I mentioned when I spoke about our guest satisfaction scores, the one that jumped out at me was the feeling of safe and secure in the park. It was a 9.35 on a 10-point scale, the highest of any Six Flags park in our entire company. And that was this last year when we had our incident. And that was a full year score. And it was the highest of any of our GSS scores of anything that we measure ourselves against. And I was really proud to see that. You know, this is our guests telling us they feel great at our park. The number of incidents that we saw last year in our security was less than half that we saw. And that's when we're calling on the assistance of GPD, security, anything that they need to address. If they're calling for backup, anything inside the park, it was less than half. The incidents were up in 21. People, they didn't know how to behave when they finally got out of the house, I guess, in 21 or whatever it was. They were down sharply, less than half of what they were this past year. It came down a lot. I echo what Jim said, our relationship with GPD is it can't be beat. It's just really hand in hand. They're at the park every single day. I was gonna save it up for Chief Smith if he's not here tonight, but we are putting in, it's not Flock, it's a group that they're putting in at all the Six Flags parks called Recor. So we're also doing the cameras. So I know that they're familiar with the Flock system, but it's the same setup, different company. So we're putting the similar system in finally at Six Flags, but it's just a different vendor that's doing it. So it's going in, we're gonna have it in by spring. So the cameras arrived, they were in my office today showing me they're big cameras. They were not thrilled that they're as big as they are, but it's the system that's going in place. So I'm feeling good about where we're at. That was an isolated incident by every measure. They had someone that they were looking for when they came to our park, and that person happened to be playing at our park that day. So, but other than that, by every measure, we had a really strong year at the park. The guests told us so. I don't know if there was anything bigger to point to than the next day we were open, that we had over 11,000 guests at the park that day, with as much attention that was paid to the park and the incident that happened. We had 11,000 people show up the next day to come play at the park. Our team members showed up. We were nervous about were the team members gonna show up to come work at the park. They showed up, we were staffed, and we had 11,000 guests come play at the park that day. So I think they feel good about what we're doing there. So I was happy to see that and the support that we had. So we had a lot of good things happening over there. So.
Thanks, John.
Yep.
I mirror what these two gentlemen just said, tremendous feedback. And I'll also say the relationship we have with the Village of Gurnee is second to none. I feel very fortunate in this community that we have such strong partnership with the village and the police and the fire department. The other thing is the Flock system adds a proactive measure to it too, where sometimes you have to wait for a crime to happen, i.e. shoplifting as an example. You have to wait for that shoplifting to occur before you can interject yourself. Flock, the police get notifications on different individuals, and then they can act upon that. We can follow up on that. That's a new tool that I think us and the police really like to see. But there's nothing more important than safety at the mall. We're not gonna have shoppers or customers unless you have a safe environment. So what's the latest number on visitors to our 3 properties? It's like 23 million or so. I think it's 23 million people visit our 3 properties in a year. Don't quote me on that, but that was the number I saw. And we're always gonna be fighting crime. We're always gonna be fighting it, but we can't rest on our laurels. We have to keep being proactive and going after it.
Thanks,
Do you have
Randy.
a second question? Was there a second? The casino.
The casino, yeah.
I went over and was able to meet with the general manager and some of his marketing team a couple weeks ago. Really beautiful establishment. It does not look temporary if you've been inside it. It looks in very high quality. looks nice. I don't know how much of an impact that's gonna have to our business, because I think you have different customers going to the casino versus coming to Gurnee Mills or coming to our property. So that's not to say it's not gonna draw, but we'll have to wait and see. Part of it is how much of an impact. But when I was in there, I didn't feel threatened. So, whereas if I go to their places, I feel threatened because they're always such nice, and the cheese curds, although we have cheese curds at Buffalo Wild Wings, so.
Thank you.
Anything else? Well, good. Thank you very much, Maureen and gang, for coming out and enlightening us. We always appreciate that and get the inside look every time. And again, just thank you again on behalf of myself and the board that we have such great partnerships. We appreciate that. It's, I know that not every village gets that opportunity, and since we're just here, sometimes we don't know how good we have it. So, thanks. So the next item on is Brian Gosnell doing the fiscal year 2022-23 third quarter financial performance. Thanks. Brian?
All right, thank you, Mayor. Included in the materials was the third quarter report, so this takes us through the end of January. Just walk through a few things. Cash and investments totaled $46.2 million at the end of January. 18% of that was held in checking account, almost 50% in money market, 32% in investments. 73% of that was general fund. A lot of that's due to just the timing of when capital funds are expended. 11% in the capital fund, 11% in water and sewer. Total revenues through the end of January, $40.3 million. Total expenditures, $33.9 million. So we're running a $6.4 million surplus through the end of January. Don't expect that full to carry through to the end of the year, but we do definitely expect some surplus at the end of the year. Just a few notable variances. A lot of these are still timing. Liquor licenses, that hits in the fourth quarter, so you see the license and permits category down. Fines and forfeitures, we've talked exhaustively about the red light program and the issues that are going on there, so we do expect that to carry through the end of the year. And then the timing of insurance and recapture agreements. Some of the success that we heard tonight translates into some of the recapture agreements we have. More revenue comes in, the bigger the rebate with those agreements. Major revenues make up 68% of all general fund revenues. Annual budget here of 30.8. Through the end of January, we were at 27.2. So we were ahead of the 5-year average, 26.8% ahead of the 5-year average. More importantly, 5.6% ahead of last year. And most importantly, 15.4% ahead of the seasonally adjusted budget. So performing very well in total. And if I can zoom in quick, you can see, if you look just at a little bit further in the detail, you can see of that $3.6 million positive variance from the seasonally adjusted budget. Largest item is sales tax, makes up 1.7 of that. The second one is income tax. There was some income tax rules and laws that had corporates paying in advance, so to speak. So we did see that. So that variance should come down a little bit as we work through the end of the year, but still positive in total. Digging deeper, looking just at sales tax, annual budget, 18.1 million here. Year to date, we're at 15.2. I can tell you through the end of, well, as of yesterday, we hit the budget number already with 1 month to go. So again, strong here. Up 12.7% versus the adjusted budget. A couple things happening here. Inflation, not sure how that would impact it. We did see a little bit of a flattening in the last few months, just of increases year over year. Probably expect that to continue. And then some consumer debt reports came out had consumer revolving debt at the highest level in history. So we don't quite know how that's gonna impact, but definitely strong sales through the end of the third quarter. Amusement tax, annual budget 3.6 million, year-to-date 3.4. We have exceeded budget as of this morning, or as of today when I looked. But through the third quarter, we were almost 6% ahead of the adjusted budget, so performing well against what we had anticipated in last year, as we heard tonight. On the food and beverage side, continues to outperform expectations. Annual budget 2.1 million. Through January, we were at 2 million, so obviously we have exceeded that already with a month to go as of this morning. Through the end of January, 21% ahead of the adjusted budget, so again, performing very well. And then hotel tax, again, we heard some of this positive story tonight. Annual budget 1.8, we were almost there at the end of January, exceeded it obviously in the last couple months. So we expect that to continue through the end of the year with a very positive variance there through the end of April. Water and sewer fund, the other primary operating fund, total revenue 7.4 million, total expenditures 8.1. A lot of this has to do with the timing of capital projects, running a deficit of 741,000. Again, we budgeted for a very large deficit because of those capital projects. Some of the notable negative variances here, budgeted for some connection fees, not sure if those will come in. Again, we had the insurance timing, purchased a large quantity of meters for the meter changeout program at the beginning of the year. And then the timing of the debt service on the IEPA loan is what those red categories are there. End of the third quarter, had a cash balance of almost 5 million, which is about 67% of operating expenditures. So still in a very strong cash position in the water and sewer fund. Water usage was down versus prior year, almost 15%. We've seen that trend carry through post-COVID. And with that, I'm happy to answer any questions.
Will that change our budget as we go forward? Now, will we make any changes to the budget?
The only thing in here that we would have to change for the budget going forward would be, there's probably going to be a surplus at the end of the year that we would have to determine on, what to take to capital and things like that. I don't see anything in here that would change what we already have for draft for next year. Mm-hmm.
Anything else? Nope. Is there a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Second.
Motion by trustee Balmas, second by trustee Garner. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Motion carries.